Welcome to Trackside at M1 Concourse. My name is Blair Cremines and I'm your host. Today we have Ken Lingenfelter here from Lingenfelter Performance, as well as you have a collection, correct?
Correct, yes.
So we want to dive into your story because you have an amazing story. Well, first I just want to talk about how we first met. It was amazing. We were at American Speed Festival, and you were one of the first people I met that was not staff. And I just got to say, for those that don't know Ken, super friendly, super nice guy, and it was us two in the paddock, and we looked at a few of your cars, and it was a great joy meeting you. Tell us a little bit about what got you started. What was your first, when did you know that you loved cars?
Well, that's an easy question because it was right from the beginning. I'm told that I probably owned every Matchbox car that was built by the time I was 5 years old. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that my dad ran a Fisher body plant in Euclid, Ohio. It's where they built the Olds Tornado in the early days. And when I was 10, already being a car guy, my dad took me to a show that was at the proving grounds for General Motors and also at their development center. And they had the first split window 63 Corvette there.
Wow.
And so I was already a car guy, but I walked up behind that car, looked through that split window, and it just took the legs out from underneath me. And my dad said I yacked about that car all the way home. And so that day I not only got to be a bigger car guy, but I think I turned to be a Corvette guy for life at that show.
That's amazing. Now, did you have that little Matchbox thing, like the little suitcase with the multiple decks in there because you had so many cars?
Oh, yeah.
I had that as
Sure.
well,
Yeah,
for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I got scolded from my parents because I started creating a new paint finish on Matchboxes. I would sand them down and charge kids in the neighborhood 50 cents a car.
How about that?
Yeah. And they said, you can't do that. And I said, but I'm making money. So I think for me it was being taken to the one of the final assembly plants here in Detroit as a very young child. And I just loved the visceral smell, the feel, the sound of the cars. And I knew I loved cars then. So what do you think drove that passion? So you had from the very early age, you knew that you loved cars, but then from there it drew into a passion. So what do you think drew that?
Well, you know, passion is something that, again, I think you feel internally. And having my dad there, we went to other shows, we went to other events that had to do with General Motors. And General Motors did a very, very good job with their employees back then installing loyalty. So, you know, it wasn't just a car guy. I was a Chevrolet guy or a General Motors guy. But as time went on, there was a program called the General Motors Craftsman's Guild when I was about 11 or 12. And we basically were given a block of wood, and it was our job to carve a car of the future from that block of wood. And then we got some help and some advice along the way. But we'd paint those cars, and then there'd be an actual contest. And I never won that contest, but I remember the first one I built was a three-wheel car, 2 wheels in the back and 1 in the front. Got a lot of attention for that, but it was just one thing after another. It was also at a time when the high schools had auto shop, and I was extremely interested in learning how to build motors and things of that nature. And this was a very comprehensive shop. We had a very good teacher, real car guy that really understood performance. And so I started taking apart engines and rebuilding them in that class, and was always anxious to have some time after school to work there also. That led into drag racing, because drag racing in the Detroit area was a really big deal. You know, there was Detroit Dragway, there was Milan, and so my weekends ended up at the drag strip, and I was drag racing my daily driver, so I had to be very careful because if I broke it, I wasn't quite sure I was going to get to work the next day or school. But the fact is, it just went one thing after another, and the passion kept getting deeper and deeper.
Wow.
We just recently went to a show we have here called the Autorama, and I've been going to that show since I was 14 years old.
We actually saw each other there at that show.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Yep.
Yeah, so what was your very first car?
My first car was a 442 Oldsmobile, 67 442.
Serious car.
It was a serious car. And I don't think my parents really understood quite the power that was in it, but I was also able to give it a little bit of boost here and there by taking it into the auto shop at school. So
You were doing much better than me. My first car was a 72 Duster, slant 6, 3 on the tree, and fun car. Got great memories in that car, but not quite the car you had. So that's a great first car.
yeah, well, I'll tell you, there were some V8 Dusters out there though that I know I raced and had a hard time with them. But you know, it was a different time. You know, muscle cars were a big deal, and there was always one-upsmanship. There was always another new muscle car out there that everybody wanted, and I went from that 67 442 to a 69 396 375 horsepower Camaro. And at the time I was going to Dearborn High School, and Dearborn is Ford.
Oh yeah.
And so I think I had the only Chevy in the parking lot, and there was one guy there that just had it in his head that he was going to drag race me, and he had a 302 Boss Mustang. And after getting near tripped and, you know, pushed around a little bit in the hallway with him, we both kind of grabbed each other after school, you know. So now Dearborn High School is right on Outer Drive, and that is no place to drag race. But we decided after that day that we came to blows that we were going to race on Outer Drive, and everybody knew about it in the school, including the assistant principal that apparently walked out on the steps just as we hit the gas. But I smoked him so bad. And
First big win, huh?
Oh, it was a huge win. And what was interesting is apparently the Dearborn police had been called, and so I got arrested and expelled from school. The guy with the 302 Boss Mustang didn't get arrested or expelled from school, so I think might have been a little bit of Ford.
They wanted to get rid of the GM guy, huh?
Yeah, there you go. But interestingly enough, too, he wanted to be my best friend after I smoked him on the drag race.
Well, he probably had respect for you then.
Yeah, and I did get back into school. I was out for about 5 weeks.
Oh wow!
And so
was it worth it?
Yeah, it kind of was, you know, because I was really a bad character at school at that point. You know, everybody knew I knew what I was talking about.
Gotcha. How about cruising? You know, one thing that I think Detroit, and from Detroit to Pontiac along Woodward, is really a big cruising thing. So when you were young, were you out cruising?
Oh yeah, Telegraph Road and you know, no question about the fact Woodward Avenue.
Oh yeah.
And there were drive-in restaurants, and it was just what you did.
Oh, for sure.
So
yeah, you could hang out there and meet new people, and it was all about the cars and the people, and it was always a great time kind of cruising. Tell me sometime, as time went on, was there kind of a pivotal or an epic moment where you were like, this is it, like I'm going to do this for the rest of my life?
Well, there probably was, but you know, practicality comes into the situation also. Yeah. I was a short order cook at Howard Johnson's restaurant, and so couldn't keep that job for life. And so I did, along with the continuing to improve my car and race my car at the drag strip, I did get a job in a business and worked for a title company in downtown Detroit called Burton, and really started to work for them when I was like 17, and turned that into a business career. I started a business when I was 19 in Howell, Michigan, and that business grew from that location to 16 states and 3,000 employees.
Wow.
When I sold the business in 2005. So the fact is, I was always able to maintain my feeling with drag racing and you know, continuing to build cars, but the business career is what helped me support my family.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems like many of us that love cars, we didn't always get to start right out of the gate with a big career in cars. We had to do some other things, and then you know, get to it later, I guess.
Sure.
If there was one memory that you think is like kind of an emotional connection for you, I have one that's a deep emotional connection for me. My grandmother, who I loved and adored, took me into a final assembly plant. She was a female supervisor when there were no female supervisors in the day.
Sure.
And she was proud of the car she made, and she was proud of what she did. And so that's an emotional connection for me with cars. For you, what do you think is the emotional connection for you with cars?
Well, again, my father's, you know, being involved with General Motors was a big deal. And, you know, you were either a Ford guy, a Chevy guy, or a Mopar
That's
guy
right.
back in the day. And there was a lot of, you know,
There sure was.
irritation between the groups and such. But, You know, I started watching and getting involved in other kinds of racing. I'll never forget my first time at the Indianapolis 500. I walked out of the parking lot, walked right up to the track, and a car went by. It was practice day at about 230 miles an hour, and it just took the legs right off from underneath me. I mean, I just could not believe what I'd seen. And as a result of that, this will be my 47th Indy 500 in a row this year.
That is amazing.
So a lot of people may think I need psychiatric help for that, but you know, it's just pure fun for me.
Yeah.
And then that helped the passion grow, really did.
Yeah. I've been out to MIS a couple times where all of a sudden, instead of looking down the track, if you just look straight out into the track and wait for the car to come by, you almost don't see the car.
That's
it's
true.
Just,
yeah.
You know, so 200 miles an hour in NASCAR, that's really moving.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that made a difference is there were other family members that were involved in racing. And really what led me to my career and in the business I have today is I had a very famous cousin by the name of John Lingenfelter. John started a performance business in 1973, and he was a record holder for many, many drag racing events. John was a complete, total engineer, very absorbed in the business, and it was fun watching him, communicating with him, and staying in touch with all of that during the time. Unfortunately, in 2002, John was killed in a pretty dramatic drag race and died of his injuries in 2003. That was right around the time that I was ready to sell my business. And so I sold my business and finally got to work in my passion completely by acquiring Lingenfelter Performance Engineering, and I built the company since then. We just had one shop down in Decatur, Indiana. Now we still have that shop, but we have a shop up in Wixom on Beck Road.
So that tragedy kind of started what was really the beginnings of your working in towards a legacy, something much bigger than even beyond yourself, right?
Actually, it did turn out to be much bigger than what I anticipated. It also led me into getting opportunities to be involved with other cars other than just Chevrolets and General Motors products. And I started to build a car collection in Brighton, Michigan.
Yeah.
And that has proved to be just as interesting and just as fun as building performance cars.
I think your legacy, and I think you know this, but I mean, you're really a kind of a global brand. I mean, people know about you all over the world.
You know, it's interesting because I think some of it's got to do with the name. I mean, there's 12 letters in that Lingenfelter name, and if you say it right, that's a big deal, you know?
You're right.
But the fact is, we sell our vehicles all over the place.
Yeah.
Up until COVID, I was making a trip to Dubai every year. And we were down there for the SEMA show, and we've still got customers down there that order from us on a regular basis. I
was watching a television show, I think it might have been on Netflix, I think it's called Drive Hard the Maloof Way. And they're on the show, and this guy comes in, he's bringing the money in, and he says, I just need this thing to be the fastest. It's a grudge race kind of thing. They pull the car in, and the guy that's the head guy in this show, he goes, did you call Ken? And it happened to be your engine in the car, and it's on the television show. And I'm like, I know Ken. So I just think everywhere I turn, your name is known, and you're known to be one of the best in, I think, the GM motor plant. So
well, that's nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
We really work hard on it. Obviously, you've got to really get it right if you're going to put yourself out there. And we have customers that bring cars to us and say, I want this, this, and this. And we just kind of tell them, well, we're probably not going to be able to do that with that, but this is what we can do, or we'll make suggestions about what we can do.
Yeah.
Our model has always been somebody wants a performance car, we sit down with them and say, okay, what do you want to do? You're going to auto crash, you're going to drag race, you're going to road race, just going to go to car shows and beat on your chest,
Right.
and show off what you got under the hood. I mean, it's a lot of things, but the fact is that that's the way our business has grown.
Yeah. You have the performance side, but you also have the collection side. If I asked you what's your top 3 cars in your collection, what would they be?
Well, obviously there's a split window Corvette.
Yeah.
63, it's silver, and that'll always be there. But we've had some exotics. We've had some older cars. I've got some muscle cars. There's probably about 190 cars in the collection right now. So the muscle cars, the center room of the collection is all Corvettes. And I think there's probably 80 Corvettes in there, and there's a large variety of Corvettes. And then the front room is, you know, Corvettes again, but in products that we produce in the Lingenfelter Performance Company, but also some exotics, which I've always had a passion for.
Yeah, this is a big year to be a Corvette guy.
It is a big year.
Yeah,
to be a Corvette
70th
guy.
year anniversary of the Corvette. And we're going to be celebrating that at American Speed Festival this year. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Corvettes, and not sure if anybody knows this, but we're going to be doing a special picture this year. So we're going to have a car from every year represented, and so it's going to be called a tribute photograph. And it's going to be amazing to have 71 cars here, right here at M1 Concourse. And we're going to have one of your cars in there, I know for sure.
Yeah. I'm really looking very forward to that. And you know, there are a lot of Corvette clubs here and around Michigan, and everyone's looking forward to that event.
Yeah.
So it should be really great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the car you brought in today.
So, you know, this is kind of the car that I think Zora Duntov always wanted to build. Zora is considered the father of Corvette. He's a German gentleman who came over in the 50s and basically took Corvette and decided it was going to be a performance car, and did everything he could to make that happen. In fact, in the collection we have a car we call the Duntov Mule Car. It's the 55 Corvette that Zora used to try different motors and different kinds of aerodynamics and things of that nature. I actually drove it out here at an American Speed Fest a couple of years ago, and the car is it's a little odd looking. It's got some curious wings and curious aerodynamic things on it, but fact is it's probably the most famous Corvette in the world, and considered to be the first V8 Corvette. And so that's one of the cars that we've got in the collection that will get a lot of attention.
And you're bringing that out to American Speed this year?
It'll be an American Speed. We've had it out here before. I actually had it on the track here, and there were a lot of people wondering why I took the chance of driving it at 60-some miles an hour. Zora drove that car to 165 miles an hour at the Proving Grounds in Arizona back in '55.
That's crazy.
But they're nothing like cars of today.
Well, the one thing that's amazing about American Speed Festival is I think that it's one of the few places you can see basically museum cars, and they're out in their natural environment. They're running, the engine's on, you can smell it, feel it, hear it, and that's very different to experience cars that way versus just seeing them in a museum.
Yeah, that's why I decided I needed to drive it out here.
Yeah.
This is a great event, and it grows. It's grown every year. It will continue to grow because there's a real deep passion in autos and cars, and the passion is really strong here in the Detroit area.
Yeah.
So,
what will you be bringing to American Speed Festival this year?
you know, we got a couple things lined up, but I'm going to keep
them a secret?
Yeah, I'm going to keep them a secret.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to have to wait till find out what that is. So,
Yep.
Ken, it's been great having you here today. Any last things that you want to tell our listeners today about your organization?
I would only say that you know, the mission for the collection is we just do charity. It's not open to the public, so we do charity fundraisers there.
Yeah.
And that system has worked very, very well. We're actually doing an event for the American Cancer Society this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, we'll have several thousand people through the collection that day.
Oh, wow.
It's a great event. It's a lot of fun. The money goes to a great charity, and so we did 60 events there in 2019.
Wow.
And COVID hit, so we had to slow down, but we're back at it and having fun.
Yeah, well, we're kind of following in your footsteps because we're doing some work here. We've got M1 mobility going on, so
Right.
we've put some vehicles in the area. We're helping people get to some medical appointments, things like that. And then about a month ago, we had a gentleman, I'll leave his name off the record, but we had a gentleman out that not sure if he'll ever drive, but his number one desire was to race a car. And so we had him out here, we put him in the simulators, and then we got him out in his race car.
Very cool.
And it was an emotional day because
Sure.
he was living a dream on that day. And sometimes we just got to do stuff that's outside of our normal everyday stuff and just give back to the community.
Well, and I'll tell you what, our passion for, you know, automotive and fast cars and collections and things like that really drive us. My wife, Kristen, and I have met so many great people being involved in the automotive side of things. So.
Well, you're a legend, and we're so thankful that you're connected to us here at M1 Concourse. So thanks a lot for coming in today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I enjoyed it.
In this section, we're going to talk a little bit about the Woodward Dream Show, which is one of our our signature shows. And right this moment, I have Dave Sherman, my buddy here, to talk about that. Welcome.
Thanks, Blair.
You know what? Before we get started, I'm going to do something kind of special. You drive a car here, right? Is that a Porsche?
It is?
Yeah. And I got an accessory for your car, and I'm going to get it. So hold on one second. Let me just get that for you. Hold on.
It's a tough room to work.
So I got this for you.
A soccer ball for my Macan S, since I'm driving a soccer mom's vehicle.
See, someone in the office referred to his Porsche as a soccer mom car, and I thought, well, if it's a soccer mom car, maybe you should have the soccer ball in the car. So what do you think?
I think if they're not picking on you, you've got a problem. Just saying.
Gotcha. Well, anyways, we're going to talk about the Woodward Dream Show. And this is an amazing show that really kicks off that whole weekend. We got millions of people coming in from out of town. And tell me a little bit about Woodward Dream Show. What's that about?
Yeah, so it's a very unique concept. It's a specific signature show that we own here at M1.
Okay.
It's not meant to take away from the Woodward Dream Cruise that happens out there out on the streets. It's not necessarily even an alternative to it. The whole concept behind the show was the Woodward Dream Cruise is such a unique weekend event, right? It's 40,000 cars, it's 1 million people out there on the street, and it is chaos.
Yeah.
And some of that is fun chaos, and some of it is, I don't want to be a part of the chaos.
Especially when you got a special car and you're in all that traffic and you're worried about getting in an accident.
Yeah, it's gridlock for miles, right? And it's a summer night and day, and it's hot, and you're looking for a place to park. You're looking for something to eat. You're looking for restrooms, facilities, just all that kind of infrastructure.
Right.
And the reality is that if you're at Dream Cruise, most of it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do here at M1 is, one, it's location, right?
Right.
We are on Woodward Avenue. It doesn't
Right.
get any better than that for Dream Cruise weekend.
Yeah.
The second thing is that we have now a focused, organized show. So this year for 2023, we're celebrating a couple of marks even.
Yep.
So it's the 70th anniversary for the Corvette.
That's amazing.
And Mopar and Ram Chargers.
Wow.
So, and every year we've tried to pick different marks and things to celebrate. Last year was the 90th birthday of the 32 Deuce.
Yeah.
I mean, cool stuff, right? So this year with celebrating Corvette, we actually have a tribute display that we're putting out in front of the event center. And it's 71 cars representing all 70 years.
So one from every year.
One from every year. So you as a guest will be able to walk the entire history and heritage of Corvette starting in 1953 and ending in 2023. And there'll be a single car representing every single year, including the 1983 Corvette.
No, there's no way that you've got that car.
It's one of one that's left. It's coming out of Bowling Green at the museum.
That's in a museum.
They're shipping it up here for us just to have for the tribute display.
So you're talking about a once-in-a-lifetime photograph that's never been done before, including this one-of-a-kind car out of a museum.
Yes.
That's incredible.
And the beauty is GM has really helped us out, not just getting that car,
Yes.
but the guys inside the Heritage Collection, where they keep all the prototypes and all the concept cars. They're bringing stuff out to celebrate Corvette, as well as some of the other collectors and friends within the M1 community. So you as a guest, besides seeing the 70 cars out there on display, inside this incredible event center in the ballroom will be cars that really can't be outside. And then there'll be somewhere between 700 and 1,000 other show cars.
700 and 1,000.
Somewhere in that range.
Wow.
Parked around the property.
Yeah. So one last thing I just want to talk about is last year the ticket price for Woodward Dream Show was $50. I heard this year it's $25. Is that true?
It's $25. So if you are a guest, you're coming out to Woodward, you're coming to M1, you don't know anything about it. For $25, you get to park in a secured parking location, jump on our shuttle bus. We bring you right here to the front gate. We throw a wristband on you. You walk on in. Tickets are available on our website at m1concourse.com, and you're in the show. The other piece I will add before you break is for $35, you can bring a show car like this Mach 1 Mustang that we have here, put your car in the show for $35, and then I give you 2 tickets for you and a guest to attend the show.
It's like free. Absolutely. Hey, M1 Concourse, you need to check out the Woodward Dream Show. That's going to be on Friday, and it kicks off a great weekend. 700 to 1,000 cars. We've got 1 car from every Corvette year going to be on a display out here. It's going to be an amazing event. You need to come check us out. Dave, thanks for sharing about Woodward.
Thanks, Blair.